can start with a few intros and just saying a big thank you for anybody joining today. I always appreciate everybody taking time out of their schedule to listen to us talk and see what we have going on. To give a brief introduction, my name is Maggie. I am a product designer here at New Mode, and I'm joined today as well with Andrew, our CTO here at New Mode. Just want to say there's always open questions at any point. We have some time we'll save at the end for a Q&A, but if anybody has questions as things come up, feel free to use the chat or the kind of Q&A section in the webinar. Questions are always welcome. And then we are pretty close to 5 in, so we can kind of get started. What we're looking to talk about today, and what we've been talking about a lot, you've probably seen us kind of announcing it, is our social media advocacy tool. We launched it earlier this year in beta to put it out in the market, see how it's working for everybody, and then continue to expand upon it to make sure it's suited for campaigning needs. So to go over what we're going to chat about today in this webinar and kind of the agenda, uh, first I'm going to give an introduction about social media advocacy, why we built it, how we built it, and then how it's kind of bridging some gaps. And then we'll walk through a demo, what's it like in our live application, to show how it really works, get a little of the nitty-gritties in there, and then saving time at the end for a Q&A session. I know this is a new tool and it's an exciting space, so definitely want to answer any questions that anybody has there. So to get started, what we've built a social media advocacy tool. And to give a little background into how we've decided to build that, it's a way to get, or yeah, why we decided to build that. It's a way to get public social outreach that targets decision makers where the power shows up. I think social media is very key for a lot of modern campaigning or a lot of modern ways to get decision makers to listen and to get your supporters to rally. It moves your supporters into actions into a high visible space. So it really helps keep everybody accountable when everything is in public. And then it also helps to continue to grow your email lists organically and your social media followers organically as they come across your campaigns or campaigns on different social media platforms. So when we launch this product, we're launching with these specific platforms. So one is Facebook, Blue Sky, Twitter X, Instagram, Threads, as well as LinkedIn. These are the current platforms that we support. And then to give a little background on our matchmaking that we work to make sure that supporters are meeting the right decision makers, very similar to our current technology when it comes to connecting your supporters to elected officials for emailing or petitions or any of those other tools that we have in our system. We use that same kind of data to make sure that users are connected with their local constituents to make sure that they're talking to the right people whenever um, it- the right time is, et cetera. But then there's some things that we've noticed coming into this, especially because previously a lot of campaigning or conversations were happening on more legacy platforms that are changing. The social media landscape is changing, especially because a lot of representatives used to be on Twitter, and we're noticing sometimes that supporters are maybe leaning to more progressive places like Blue Sky, or the same with more progressive politicians, et cetera. But there is that kind of divide that we want to make sure that we are bridging that creates gaps where our decision makers and supporters on the right channels, are they on the same channels? Uh, so what we've looked to build is kind of an adaptive targeting logic, which is basically, as I was kind of talking about, we're automatically matching supporters and decision makers based off of location to the most active platforms that either the supporters use or the decision makers are on. But the supporters preference will always come first. Because we're supporting a few different platforms, we're going to try and show them the one that makes the most sense for contacting the right decision maker. But if they choose that they don't want to post on those specific networks, if they have a network of preference, we want to make sure that we're providing options so that it feels like supporters are not limited when they're taking actions or reaching out to decision makers. We want to make sure that everybody is comfortable meeting each other where they're at. And then we also make sure that decision makers are always hearing about the conversations that are happening about them on social media. So the way that we've built it is that these messages, depending on if the decision makers have accounts, will be using either public handles so that they are directly being tagged, or using hashtags where the decision makers may not have an account active there. But we always make sure that they receive a notification saying that there are people talking to them on X amount of kind of platforms. And we do that by kind of sending this email digest that we've mentioned. So if a decision maker has received a new message that day on any platform, they will receive a daily summary recapping how many people have reached out to them on which platforms so that they know, even if they aren't on those platforms, they can see that conversation happening and they can be aware. So it kind of reinforces that momentum and coordination as well as accountability. If they're saying they don't see it, therefore it doesn't exist, then we're trying to prove to them it does exist. Your supporters or people in your constituency are talking to you or about you, and they want you to take action. Um, and then next, we have variations. So very similar to our email tool. As we've talked to a lot of people, we know that campaigning is extremely effective when messages aren't being repeated the same amount in their inbox when it comes to email. So what we've done is make sure that this is available for all of the platforms. So you're able to create different variations so that um, when supporters are coming in and filling out your new mode action, they're not going to always be seeing the exact same message. So you're not going to see a stream of people kind of messaging Mark Carney on Blue Sky saying the exact same thing over and over. That could be effective in its own remark, but there are ways by using our message variation tool that you can kind of vary those messages a little bit so that they're less easy to ignore in some ways. This also allows for platform-specific assignment. So if you want your message to say support Bill 123 on Facebook, but say please support that bill on Instagram, then you can have that variation in text. And then also, we are always going to allow the supporters to personalize that message so that if they have anything they want to add on that they want to say along with this message, we always give them that kind of ability to edit that message. And then to go over a little bit of reporting and insights, at New Mode, we try to provide analytics around the campaigns and tracking for how the campaign is doing, how your supporters are doing, where your supporters are coming from, as well as how recipients are kind of managing the messages they receive. So here you'll see that there's a new kind of section where you could see how your campaign is performing. You can track posts and clicks and conversions. And you can also do that by platform, so not just as a grand total. And I'll get into that in the demo as well. Yeah, I briefly touched on it, but we'll also have decision maker targeting insights. So this is going to allow you to see the total posts that were made per decision maker. And then you could see a breakdown of how and where people were contacting these recipients so that you get a general sense of this recipient or this decision maker has received this many messages here, so that you could follow up at any point if you do follow up. That also helps to make public accountability measurable. Wow, breezed through that pretty quickly. Um, so we'll get to kind of the fun part, I think. Um, so we said a bunch of words, but what does that all mean, and what does that look like in the application itself? So basically, when we were building this application, we wanted it to be something that was recognizable or easy to use if you've used our other new mode actions here. So the same way that you would start and build an email campaign or an LTE or a call tool, we're allowing you to select the recipients that you would like to contact in the same way. And then a lot of this is very similar so that we don't want to have anything overwhelming as we go in. So I've set up this action, say that I want to target Canada's House of Commons. I've added them as a group data set. Therefore, any of my supporters who come in, put in their postal code, they'll get matched with their local representative. But you'll notice the main kind of change here that you'll see is in this message step. This is where in like an email, you would configure the email that you would be sending to your representative. But this is where you're going in and configuring your posts that you're making. So here we have a campaign post. So I've set this up a little bit ahead of time. But basically, the campaign I'm running is to save the rainforest or save our trees and vote for Bill 123. So as we go in here, you'll see that you can select from the available social media platforms. So in this case, maybe I want this message to say on Facebook, X, Instagram, and Threads, this specific message. And then also for social media, we know that posts and shares that use images and kind of punchy captions really perform very well. So by default, we will have kind of placeholder images that you can replace as you go through. But things that people pay the most attention to, we've noticed on social media, are items that have images. So I've uploaded a custom image here for my campaign, kind of urging people to save the rainforest. Um, and then, as I kind of talked about briefly in the introduction, you have the ability to use different variations. So from here, I can create a new variant, but I'll just show my second variant that I created beforehand. You'll notice in my previous variant, I didn't have blue sky selected. So say I want to have very specific messaging just for blue sky. I can unselect or select any of the available platforms here. So it doesn't have to be that all of your messages are shared across all platforms. So in that case, say you want to customize images for Instagram, you can do so by just deselecting all of the other options, uploading a new image, and then just selecting Instagram here. So you can see I have my two variations. And then that is my kind of campaign post being set up. And then very similar to how you create your design or page layout in other campaigns. You can edit your text, design your form to look however you would like it, make any adjustments that you use for your organization. All of this would remain the same, except for the new kind of share button that I'll show when I demo how that form ends up working on the supporter side of things. And we'll move to the review step. So we've gone in, we've selected our recipients, we've created our post text, we've created our form, and then this review page is also the same as all other campaigns, though I do want to quickly shout out that with the work that we have done to create and add social media advocacy as a campaign tactic type in our platform, we've also changed the way our social sharing works as well. And you could see that change reflected on the review step. I just want to make a note that any campaigns that were created, I think prior to December last year, are using our legacy share system. So if you go in and create a new campaign, you'll see that it's using this new sharing system where you have a string of text that is your post text. So that gets shared across any platform that is shared on your thank you page, as well as you're able to upload a visual here. So this is shared across all campaigns, not just social media advocacy. But I just wanted to shout that out because we updated that before launching our social media campaign. So we've gone through, we've made all these changes, but what does that look like on the supporter side of things? Um, Let me show a different screen. So here I have my test form. I can come in as a supporter, fill in my information, and fill in a postal code. So say it is here. It's going to automatically target the representative for my local rep out of the House of Commons data set. You could toggle that on and off on the recipients step if you would like to show or hide your supporters from seeing that. I have it hidden on mine. And as we scroll down, you can see on the form, we now have this new button that says take action on Facebook. From here, you can select this drop down and say, I personally would rather message on Blue Sky. So as the supporter, they can come in and select their preferred platform. And you can see here that that text is changing occasionally as well, based off of different message variations that we selected on the previous step. But this all looks good to me, so I'm ready to take action in saving the rainforest. I can click take action, and we're sent here where you get to see a bit of a preview. You get to see who you're targeting as your representative before going live. So in this case, my local representative doesn't have a Blue Sky account that we are targeting, but they still are getting that hashtag. So then I can go through, share on Blue Sky, and it will pre-fill that the post text for me with a link back to the campaign with the image that I set on that step. And then I can go in as a supporter, post that. And then that's all ready. So say that's posted. I can go through, and then it takes me to my regular either if you have donations turned on, it would take you to that donation form, or if you have them turned off, which I do in my case, then you would see this share mechanism. And then this is that shared mechanism that is also used across email and all of our other platform, our other campaign types. And then, as I kind of briefly talked about, of course, we'll want to kind of look at how our campaign is performing. This is a different campaign with test data, so it's not necessarily accurate to a campaign itself, but wanted to give a preview of what that looks like. So on this social media campaign, you can see some sections that exist across all campaigns, like this campaign page performance. This allows me to see the total submissions versus page views that I get. And then here's where you're also able to see your social campaign performance, how that's doing. So I can see in this campaign, I had 29 posts done through that campaign. And then this clicks is if I, as a supporter, have gone in and made a post using that form. So I posted that post to Blue Sky, and then one of my followers clicks through to that link and views the form. That's what that click is. And then that conversion is kind of calculated based off of the clicks versus posts usually. So this is test data. It's not necessarily the most accurate, so I apologize for that. But you're able to then go in and see how the each network is performing. So you could see how many posts were made on each platform and how many clicks they generated and how many total as well. So that helps give you a breakdown to see where your supporters are having that conversation. As well as you could see on this outreach section, we've added this new social sharing option. So right now, this will be shared across all campaign types. So if you create an email action and someone emails their local MP and then shares that as well, this is where it will show up, and you'll get to see how many people have shared your campaign on the specific platform. So in this sense, we've only had one share on Blue Sky. And then similar to the data that you could see across your other campaign types, you could see new versus return. You could see a view of where your supporters are. And then in terms of what is new here, we've kind of updated this recipients table to match the platforms that are being used. So you're able to see the total posts that each recipient gets and then see a breakdown of what platforms those are on. So you can kind of get that accountability that you need to show, hey, Margot, we've contacted you 3 times on Facebook. So that really helps to kind of break down on that recipient kind of basis. And then we have some graphs to show you your weekly activity of how many posts you've been getting, and then how many recipients were targeted in those posts. And then as I kind of mentioned, we have the email digest performance. So that is that email that gets sent out kind of daily to a recipient if they have received a new message. And then you could see how many of those were delivered, or if there's any that went into a spam folder, you're able to track the performance of that here. So I think that is pretty much the kind of tool. Um, I think I've kind of rambled on enough, but I wanted to open on the floor for anybody if they have questions or any kind of comments about the feature or anything in general. I'm not sure, or if anybody wants to raise a hand like that. Ah, a question. Perfect. Natasha, is this still in beta testing or is it live? Currently, it is live, and you're able to use it as is. Anybody who has a Teams plan or above has it available for use. We put it under the beta title just because we know it's so new, and we want to make improvements on it, as well as kind of make sure that it's working for everybody's use case. So it is live and ready to use, but we want to make sure that if anybody has feedback and comes in um, using it, that we're taking that into account. So it is able to be used. Next question. Can the cool tool be incorporated into an Action Network database? Andrew, I might ask you if you can.
Sure, yeah. So just like all of our campaign types, we do integrate with Action Network, so you can uh, use our integration system to connect to your Action Network account. And there's a few different ways you can push that data across. The most popular one probably is with the lists mechanism, which admittedly is a bit confusing. We're working to improve the vocabulary that we use. But if you take a campaign name and map it to lists on the Action Network side, that will either push your submissions to our form into Action Network in association with a like named campaign, or create, if that campaign name doesn't exist, a campaign in Action Network to contain those submissions. So yes, we can push those across. And What is the pricing for this? So this is available on our Teams tier. Currently, we are exploring the possibility of adding it in on other tiers as well. But Teams and above, if you're a new mode subscriber, you already have access to this. When you go to create a campaign, it'll show as an option alongside other options. Can we add it or add new fields to the form? Absolutely. And I should know this off the top of my head. I believe it's Teams and above where we have custom field support. And as long as you have a plan with custom field support, you have the ability in that design tab that Maggie demonstrated earlier to add other fields. So if you needed to capture somebody's union locale, or if you wanted to answer a question, relevant to their experience about a particular issue, all of that is data that can be captured alongside the typical fields that you see on our forms. And absolutely, that would include name, address, postal code, etc.
Great questions. I'll give some time for any other questions that might come in. Feel free to put them in the chat. Um, yeah, I appreciate everybody's interest and questions here. And I think correction. Oh, here. But just a quick correction on that. I do believe custom fields are available on our free tier.
Excellent. Thank you, Maggie.
No problem.
Uh, is there a certification available for new mode? Not at the moment. It is something we've discussed, the sort of idea of having a standardized training program and keen to hear from people that are interested in that in terms of what format would work best for you and what sort of what you'd be looking for in terms of realizing value from it. And not is on the call with us as the head of our customer experience team. I'm sure he'd be quite interested to get feedback from you folks in terms of how we could better support you there. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. Any other questions? Cool. Yeah, and as Anand has said in chat, yeah, if anybody is interested in training, we do offer training for sure, just not in the form of like a certification currently. And our CX team is always available to help people out.
Great. I'll give it a minute if anybody has more questions. And then if not, then we may have had a short and sweet kind of demo. And if anybody has any questions coming up that they think of later, feel free to reach out to our team, and we'd be happy to kind of answer those.
We should say as well, in these early days of this new campaign type, we're really excited to see it start to take shape with a few campaigns that have been launched already and to see people's successes. We're really keen to work sort of hand in hand with folks as they launch these early campaigns and make sure that they're as successful as possible. To take any opportunities there are to fine tune things and you know, bump up conversions, make sure that we're getting a high conversion rate, but also getting a variety of networks used in the communication that's coming across, balancing that sort of stuff out. These are all the sorts of questions that are occupying the bulk of our time uh, in this quarter. So if you're launching a campaign, if you're interested in launching a campaign, if you want to have a conversation about how this can work well for you or how it might be improved to better meet your use case, we're really keen to have those conversations. And you can reach out at product@newmode.net. That goes to Maggie and I both, and we'd be happy to book a meeting.
Just typing up the email for the chat for anyone. And yes, we have recorded this call. So we can send out recordings after the fact if people would like that for their own references. Um, so yeah, that'll be available. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining. If anybody has any further questions, feel free, but this seems like as good as time to wrap up. So yeah, appreciate everybody. And then also, I hope everybody has a great Thursday and a great rest of their day. Perfect.
Take
Thank you
care,
so
folks.
much.